from New York, it's That Kevin Show.
See, I knew it.
Come on, Kev. What's a few classified documents between friends?
I told you all the time. I knew it. I knew he had some too.
Here he is, That Kevin McCullough.
And we're back. Kevin McCullough from Times Square. Literally delighted to have you here. Thank you for being here. My next guest is someone who knows the ins and outs of presidential campaigns and politics and briefing rooms and press rooms because he spent his entire career in all of those. He's been a key press aide to several of my favorite people on planet Earth, not to mention two of the past most successful governors for the state of Arkansas. But here he is talking about America First, back with That Kevin. It's J. Hogan Gidley. J. Hogan Gidley. Hey, hello, Hogan.
Gidley's fine. Whatever. It all works.
You know what I always think? Your name gives me a very positive association with my childhood, and that is because Hogan's Heroes was such a wonderful show in my family's life when I was really little, and I always think of positive things when I hear the word Hogan. So
I keep trying to make Hulk Hogan stick, but it just seems for whatever reason it goes back to Hogan's Heroes instead. I really want to take that route, but
yeah, no, I understand. Well, either way, are friendly for the family and a patriotic American theme in both cases. Hey, one of the things you've been really talking about since the 2020 elections, like basically the night of the election, is the need to improve voter integrity and election integrity issues across the board. I want to kind of unpack some things because I'm asked regularly, Hogan, Kevin, you're a soothsayer, you make these maps, you see things, and I think that if we had strong voter confidence and election integrity in place in 2020, I think my map I don't think I would have missed on that map, and I had not missed in a few election cycles, so my confidence was very shaken. But one of the things I'm looking at are where the integrity issues have been addressed and the types of changes being made, and are they enough for the voters to feel like this is going to be a closer to fair election than what we had in the 2020 cycle. And I'd like to peel down some of the specific states in a second, but overall, what is your feeling about where we are headed in terms of the integrity election?
Well, we are a lot better off now than we were in 2020, and we're better off now than we were in 2022. We still got a long ways to go in a lot of these states because you're always going to have the Californias of the world and the New Yorks where it's like Thunderdome. Anything goes. You just show up to vote. You don't need a ID to prove you are who you say you are. You can turn them in for weeks at a time. No one cares. So those kind of states are going to be problematic for a long time. But one of the things we've kind of done at America First Policy Institute is really go to work with the state legislatures, because that the Constitution says it's up to the state legislatures to decide the time, place, and manner of elections. And what we saw in 2020 was kind of a uniform effort from rogue governors and secretaries of state, attorneys general, just to election boards, just to either change laws days before the election or ignore written law. Pennsylvania is a great example of that. I mean, almost 3 million ballots came in via mail. Not a single one of those was signature matched. Now, that's a violation of state law. That doesn't mean 3 million Democrats got together and said, watch this, we're going to kind of flip the election here. But what it does mean is it allows for a lot of shady stuff to go on when you don't follow the laws that are in place that are designed to protect legal votes and legal voters. And so we've worked to pass around laws, some form of election integrity, whether it be some more restrictions on mass mail-in or drop boxes or voter ID requirements or ballots being returned to election officials by election day. We've done that in about 35 states. So we've seen a real increase in some of that activity. But even more so than that, I think moving into 2024, what you're going to see, people are now paying attention to this when they weren't before. You heard complaints after the election from the right and the left. People on the Democrat side were furious with elections every time they lose. People on the right, same way. But now we see more people paying attention. So we have people being trained to be poll watchers and poll workers. So they're in the room seeing what's going on. It's going to be a big help.
Now, let me pause that train of thought for a second, because now with Laura Trump assuming the co-chair at the RNC, and she was on my show just a few weeks ago, and one of the things she said blatantly was, we don't like ballot harvesting, but where it's legal, the Republicans are going to become better at it than Democrats. Is that consistent with the efforts of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't like those rules, but think of it like this. if I told you in football, for example, American football, you can score points running the ball, throwing the ball, and kicking the ball, it would be like Republicans saying, okay, fine, but I don't think it's really moral to run the ball or throw the ball, so we're just going to score kicking the ball. That's fine, but you're going to lose a lot of football games. The same thing applies here. If that's the law, you have to do it better than the other side. And I'll point you back to Facebook. Barack Obama in 2012, what he did with Facebook, remember all the praise? No one has ever done anything like this on Facebook. Watch him. Look what he did. And then 16 rolls around and Trump outperforms Hillary on Facebook. And what is the Democrat response? We should probably ban Facebook from getting involved in elections. Same thing applies here. If we out ballot harvest, I guarantee you they will want to change those laws. And that's something we're looking for them to do because it really does open the door for a lot of fraud.
Well, and the idea is Republicans have to be kind of savvy enough to understand that if you're in a state where ballot harvesting is being done, then bank your vote, get it in, make sure it counts, make sure you get all your friends to vote, get everyone you know to vote, and get them to vote within the period as set up by the law. But in those states where it's not, show up, get all your friends on election day, go there on that day, do the same thing. But in either case, we need to be playing with the full force. I've kind of likened it to the designated hitter in Major League Baseball. Why would you let your pitcher take an at bat if you could put a 300 average hitter in that same batting lineup? We don't want to do that. We want to win by the rules of the game. Let's drill down now on some of the specifics. Now, I've seen a lot of polls in the last few days, Hogan, that Trump's leading in all of the swing states. The one that he's not leading in, he's tied. This is a difference in public polling from where they were at this time in the 2020 cycle. Biden was ahead only by 1% or 2%, but in most of those states, those 7 swing states, 7, 8, 9 swing states, those are the ones that we know already in advance are going to come down to a late night total. You know, something's going to happen. Someone set off a fire alarm in an election counting processing plant somewhere, you know, wherever it is. What are we doing in those 7, 8, 9 states specifically? And what's kind of the report card from where we were in 2020?
Well, a lot. And I mentioned before, I work with Kim Blackwell, who's, former elected official there in Ohio. Great guy. Knows a lot about this, has been doing this for decades, goes all over the world helping countries fix their elections. So he knows a lot about it. He and I have been working in a lot of these states to pass those good laws. But I think one of the most important things I mentioned off the top, we always joke that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so make sure people are there in the rooms watching this. They know what to look for, who to report to should something happen. And when that first level, someone kind of throws up their hands and says, I don't do that, whatever, we have a backup for them to go to as well. So it's poll watcher and poll worker training sessions. We just had one with over 100 people in Wisconsin. And also, it's not just little old ladies or little old men. It's a lot of concerned citizens, my age,
of all ages now,
younger, and military people who say, no, I want to be in there too to watch what's going on. That to me is really encouraging because it's that hand-to-hand combat, that local involvement is going to fix it.
He's Hogan Gidley. I'm Kevin McCullough. We're coming right back from Times Square. Stay with us.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.